Good evening, everyone. We're going to do something a little different tonight. This is Aesthetic Impact Target of the Week discussion with some of our usual group of viewers. We're here practicing our remote viewing skills, and Lynn Buchanan is with us, our trainer. Some of us have trained with Lynn. Some of us are here having no formal training, and some are guests just dropping in. So welcome everyone, and again we're going to do something just a little different tonight. I usually just pull up sessions and have a document with the feedback, but today we're going to, I hope, take a little trip. We're about to see here if that works. And that's not working, that's not it. But okay, that was experiment one. We will go immediately to my desktop for just a moment. What we're going to do is share a video of a reunion that was here locally of the Doolittle Tokyo Raiders, which is a group of pilots who are almost all gone. B-25 pilots. The Doolittle Tokyo Raid in World War II made history. There was a lot of history to it, but our feedback is going to center around what you see as the staging event of, I think, the biggest group of bombers assembled for a reunion. They're going to stage at Grimes Field in Urbana, Ohio, and then fly to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. One of the videos, you were going to be in the plane, and then a couple of them, just real short ones, will give you some idea what it's like to actually experience the sounds of the planes and the flyover noise and some of the action of the motors and wind, because it was a very windy day. So if some of you picked up wind, it was definitely that. Also, we're not going to be reviewing entire complete sessions line by line. I had tried very hard to carve out summaries. Some people wanted retasking, and I really wanted to put this together as a good report, but as I said, I didn't get out of work until an hour late, and a lot of the sessions are just coming in, so they're not going to make the webinar as finished as I really wanted them to be. But you, as viewers, will be able to review this and take away the feedback and compare your sessions to what we are going to see. And a lot of it is moving, and you're going to have to put together some of the feedback on your own. So just a second here, and I can get this up and running, because I think I've learned how to do that, thanks to our folks at WebEx. Let's give this a try. Can you actually see this and hear it as if it's on your machine?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to be quiet now then.
The sound is a little bit low, but that's fine.
probably about 1 of you can make the trail at a time. There's no going over the buffet. None of you will fit through there, so make it try. Get stuck. Get back 15 seatbelts in. 10 seatbelts in. No more engines running, and I'll open up the back hatch to get out. So we're able to crawl up into the nose and some bring the flag. Careful, some of the wheel legs, Grant, you guys will climb up the nose. Okay. Might be just because you got a foot that's in front of the way.
When you get up there, spend 5 or 6 minutes up there. The other guy can come right here and stand right behind the clouds.
Oh, it won't take much to walk out. Get that in. Big light. Well, they do a lot.
Oh, Adeline says she can see and hear it. Some of you weren't able to, but at least the link is in the room, and so you can catch it later. I'm sorry about that. There is some text here I'd like to say. Every year, the remaining Doolittle Raiders gather at the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. There's a set of chalices at the museum, and the chalices of the deceased Raiders are turned upside down. Every year, the surviving Raiders drink to those who have died before them until there is only one left to salute all of them. There's a sad concern this may be the last year for the reunion, and as part of the festivities, about 18 B-25s flew in, and for a small donation, you could take a ride in one. So this person couldn't pass up the chance, so he'd flown in a B-17, and he wanted to fly in a B-25. And then there's just like a 30-second clip of a flyover, and again, for the folks who may need that feedback, it's just a couple of seconds here. And then we will try to see some sessions. Oh, I don't know if you were supposed to click on it yourself or not. I thought all I needed to do was do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just clicked on it and it worked.
Okay. And that is all of those. I'm trying to make them go away without making the whole meeting go away. Because there we go. Okay, so let me see if I can find some sessions. If you guys want to take your mics off for just a second and talk about that, you can. Let me see where I can find here. I'm still having video pop in here somewhere, whether I want it or not. This is interesting. Living dangerously there. All we would have needed was to end this whole event. Okay. Deborah, do you have to go? Just checking.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I can see. Thanks.
All right. I am going to see what files I can find here, and we will go from there. Let's see. How many people are here who sent in sessions? Russell, Jed, Deborah. Okay, here's at least one. Here's the Bendix summary. That's the start. Ooh, see if we can tone down the size on that. Okay, so here's Jed's, at least part of it. Although this says 120808 and it's got a horse. And so that kind of threw me for a loop when I found this tonight as to whether or not I have the right one. Because this has been an odd week. I've had people send in sessions and then say, oh wait, hey, I take that back, I'd like to revise that. And I'm like, okay. Jed, since I found yours, if you want to make any comments about your session, go ahead.
This is the retask one. I did 2 other sessions before this on it.
Okay.
I think you wanted me to focus on the aspect of that was man-made, circular, and shaking.
Yeah,
I think.
and also in this retasking summary, I was really interested in look at the man-made is round, orbish, vertical, circular, huge, and it has upwards, angular, sharp, jiggling motion. It's solid and metallic. What makes it work is like Jello. Lynn, what is diesel fuel used in these planes? All I could find was gasoline, alcohol stuff.
I think back at the time they used just airplane grade gasoline.
Okay, that's all I could find.
Yeah.
Because what makes it work is like Jello, and it has a luminance that's reflective, shiny, silvery, and it has propulsion. And what I would really like to find is the PDF that I tried to make of your sketch. And this is what I like to have done before we get together. And this week was more complicated. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have the PDF, or do you want me to send it?
This might actually be easier if I switch to my desktop, because I at least had some of them gathered up. Just a second. If we start doing emails again and downloading, it's going to be an even worse nightmare than what we're looking at right now. I was able to put a few of them in this folder. Now let me just see. Let me stick with Bendix and feedback. Let me try this one, just because. Okay, here we go. Here is, there were actually, this bomber was revised, I think, 4 times. And you'll notice we've got 9C there, and we've got the plane number on the corner. And your sketch, you had it drawn perpendicular and huge, and the subconscious will magnify. But I thought that this sketch, if I could superimpose it right there, and as a possibility, and then you took mid-loading, because you had already started your session, and you tried to describe the event, and here is your summary that you ended up typing up, which is what I was just, yep, that's what I was just showing. And then it's just, I thought this was kind of funny. It talks about the engines themselves, the power pad. It's a Bendix-Stromberg carburetor. Yeah, I just kind of thought that was cute. But anyway, so there is that session, and if you, like I said, it's just been kind of a nightmare with these coming in. So if you want to talk about your session, go ahead. You did take mid-loading, which I don't think you've ever done before. Is that correct?
Yeah, was it mid-loading and retasking? On the first session, I believe, I was focused on something that reminded me of a horse cart with wheels. And I think I actually, because it became an intangible column, I went and stuck with that and started castle building, and that's why I wanted to do the mid-loading and the retasking to see if I could get away from that castle building.
I see. Do you think it helped?
Oh, yes, yeah. other than the word Jello popping up in 2 of the sessions, I have no idea, unless shaking like Jello. It would have been a motion then, but it came under the, it was a structure where it came under is why I ended up having it associated with propulsion.
Okay. These are pretty much the same session. That's not going to be of help. Okay. I evidently clicked that off when I was trying to click off. All right, so here are some of, for those of you who are going to be getting this feedback, I'll send it in the mail or you can look it up. But here is a lot about the plane, so you can see if any what you got matches with that. And then viewer 6 is not here, but he got that he was tasked. We had 3 taskings: man-made, man-made 1, and event. And so this is a straight man-made, and we've got technical, educational, and mail, and it's got a square shape. This viewer thinks it's beautiful and it pulsates, and it has an aperture that opens and closes similar to a camera lens that emits a reddish light. It may be the environment that's giving a watery cast, and like it's looking at something underwater, like it has some sort of ceiling, like looking up while sitting on the ocean floor. The bottom of it appears to be embedded into the surface rather large, like the man-made is the tip of the iceberg. And at the top of it, there are vent areas that open and close, like conveyor belts that are stationary. At the left, there are vertical line patterns, metallic silver in color. They appear to run the length of this area. To the right of the man-made, there are circular shapes that look like portal windows on the side of a ship. Markings on the man-made, there were a single star shape located upper midway on the man-made. It appears to be a number serial located to the lower left foot area. And it looks like a big tower or monument, like Big Ben in England or Washington Monument, and of a given name in male. The general purpose, like it's an educational icon of sorts, and it was cool outside, overcast. You could be able to see in the distance, and sounds were like a clock ticking and clicking, water dripping. They could hear bells like a water boy bell at feet, and a grinding sound, a steep drop-off point, chemical smells close to the man-made but no exterior area smells, could be in water or space, and seen from distant past, and men were clapping as if at a ceremony or dedication of accomplishment. And then the P7 came through with song Bridge Over Troubled Water. And the straight man-made was supposed to be the hangar. Describe the hangar. Some of the feedback, you'll see there's a big star on both that plane and the hangar, so it's getting a little sketchy here. Here's Deborah's session coming up. No, Debbie Height, I'm sorry. This was a retasking. I was trying to get her focus, and she was having a really bad session. She's trying to get out the door to go on vacation and just couldn't concentrate. And she admitted that. I am going to have to go looking for Deborah Katz. In the meantime, I was able to locate Russ's retasking. I asked him to tell me more about this sketch, because I wasn't sure if maybe it might turn out to be the hangar. Can't really tell. It was a possibility, but there you can see the stars on the hangars too. You already saw the star on the plane. And this is a close-up of the hangar. Russ gets a lot of information, a lot of perceptions, and he will go away from tonight reviewing his stuff and trying to see what matches, and will probably do some more research on his own. Okay, now I'm going to have to go roam around in my inbox, it looks like, to find Deborah's session. Here is David Beatty's. He was fixed on this right here. It looked like a picnic table to him. But we'll get down to his summary. And also there was somebody in a blue shirt standing, and he termed it an adolescent. There was one short shot there. The person was not in a striped shirt. As far as I could tell, it was blue, with somebody in that position for his feedback. But he was, here's his summary. And I retasked him, if I can just find it, on the model airplane field, baseball field like ambiance, because I wanted to see if he'd pick up on anything more regarding the ambiance. So I think I might just open this up to you guys. Lynn, if whatever points you want to bring up, feel free while I roam around and see if I can find anything of value. I'm sorry, this has been fairly a disaster.
I was muted. That last one looked very good, and one before that looked like it was more about the plane than about the hangar.
Well, I was hoping to get like a real customer view here with, you know, multiple questions so that they could see if they were answering question 1 or question 2 or question 3.
Yeah.
And with the traffic of sessions coming and going, retasking, front-loading, mid-loading, and then try to pull it all together, as a project manager, you can't do that in a half hour. Ugh.
What do you do in your spare time?
Try and drink a glass of water.
Yeah.
So did you have particular questions in mind when you assigned this?
Yes, I had, the customer would have had 3 questions. A project manager, as Lynn was explaining, I think in last week's session, he has one person in law enforcement who cannot form a question to say themselves. So Lynn will task one particular viewer because he knows that they'll get about 30 pages of stuff. Then he will show this 30 pages of stuff, or the summary, to the customer, and he'll look at it, and then he'll go, oh yeah, yeah. And so then we'll task the viewers specifically regarding those questions. So yes, the project manager works with the customer to find out what they really want to know, because it might be 20 things, and then you tell them that they need to narrow it down. And so yeah, you could have multiple questions, and that's what I was trying to do.
So could you tell us what those questions were?
Describe the man-made, which was the hangar. Describe the man-made 1, which was the plane. And describe the event. I didn't put describe location because they traveled from Grimes Field in Urbana to Wright Pat. And so I thought that would be really difficult. But if we could describe the event, it might be something that the viewers could actually do.
So I have a question, because I was tasked with the front loading was man-made. I really thought that that's all I'm supposed to focus on, and it was actually really hard just to focus on that, but I kept just trying to focus on that, and then I knew there was more than one man-made around, like several, so it was getting very challenging because I could tell there was so much, and it was like, which one am I supposed to focus on?
I have a question. Teresa, what was the specific wording of the tasking? Of the front loading, I'm sorry.
the front loading, each person who was working on each question, they didn't know that that was the question, but the question that was described the hangar, that was described the man-made. The person who was, I'm rolling my eyes and going left here, I'm accessing my own subconscious. The person who was described the plane, described the man-made one. And the persons who were to describe the event was describe the event.
Okay.
That was their front loading versus their tasking. Is that what you were asking?
Yes.
Okay.
On the hangar, you didn't want to say the location. What you might have said is just...
I did not say location.
I know.
Was I supposed to say location?
No. You said you didn't want to say location. You wanted to say the hangar.
Right.
And so what you might have given for front loading is the target is man-made. Describe the target. Just by tradition, there's no real law on it, but when you say describe the target, it means the man-made and everything connected to it, its surroundings, everything that affects it and all that. When you say the target is man-made, describe the man-made.
Actually, I think I don't mean to be fudging here. I think I did say target, which I can find that in my directions to everybody.
Okay.
Because actually, I wondered if I was flubbing up, if I should say man-made, but I have this thing of saying describe the target.
Yeah, that's generally good because, however, like she was saying, then she saw different man-mades connected to it and different things like that. And so that gives the viewer the opportunity to just spread out and find out, you know, what they can be curious about.
How do you get them to focus on the hangar then?
You say the target is man-made, describe the man-made, and that means only the man-made, nothing else around it, and so on. And like I say, that's just a thing that's come up over tradition. There's no real rule over it.
So if you say describe the man-made, the target is a man-made, describe the man-made, the viewer has free reign to describe any man-made.
No.
No, then it's specific. If you say describe the target, then they have free reign to roam around whatever gets their attention.
That's right.
Okay.
And so if you said describe the target, that sort of opened it up to everything around it, all the man-mades around it, and so forth. And while that doesn't specifically corral the viewer to the specific targeted hangar, it does allow them to get all the influences, what the hangar does, what's around the hangar, everything else. And at that point, it's sort of left open to the viewer's curiosity. And so, you know, you go find that there's another man-made. Okay, don't let that confuse you. Let it make you curious. Go find out what it is. Because what it is going to be related to the hangar, to the targeted part. And as you spread out like that, you find out more and more things about the actual target, which would be the hangar. And, you know, okay, the hangar is a big building. It's empty. It's got gas smells and oil smells and mechanical sounds and all that. But then you spread out and there's another man-made. Oh, describe this other man-made. And it has wings, it has wheels, it lifts off the ground. Oh, now I know more about the building.
Yeah, I would think the hangar is more of a location that, I mean, it's obviously man-made, but I guess this is teaching me a lot just about man-made, because I tend to, my first thought of man-made was object, and the first thought that comes with hanger is that's a whole location, because people, so many things can be inside it.
Yeah, and location here would have been, you know, a good front loading too, because it would, you know, it would open it up to everything at the location.
Yeah, but we had everything from across 2 counties here.
Yeah.
So
Now, the tradition that's built up is that if you say the target is a location, describe the target, that means the location. Okay, the location, everything connected to it and all that. Just the tradition that is built up is if you say the target is a location, describe the location, basically what you're asking for is a map. Whereas if you say the target's a location, describe the target, it opens it up to everything.
Deborah, here's your summary. If you wanted to address anything in it.
You know, I really had a sense that there was something there kind of like that could be like remote controlled, like someone had like what seemed like a remote control and they were moving around another object with it. Did you see anything? Were there like model airplanes or anything like that at the event?
More than likely, that's where you have to give a can't feedback, you know, a question mark, but more than likely so.
As far as talks on walkie-talkie, it showed them, you know, on the radio.
Oh yeah.
There is so much going on with this target, and you do have an element of what's happening presently, and then there's so much related to the past.
Yeah, there's a lot of
back and forth.
yeah, a lot of temporal distractors here too. The raid on Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that this might give us a peek at what it would be like if you had a customer who needed something done that required movement, whether, you know, you were searching for a lost child or when the location changed. So when, like, we viewed the target with moving the church, I mean, that covered at least a few miles, it looked like. And this was moving, so I was wondering if maybe this might give us, like I say, a feel for what it would be like to view something that was moving, so location-wise. So maybe not.
I think I've told you all this before, but one of the few remaining Messerschmitts from the German Air Force is here in Alamogordo, out at the airport, and the German soldiers, flyers who are here, are putting the thing back together, making it flyable to fly it in shows and everything else. But the manuals are written in the old Gothic script, that really heavy block-style script and all, that's not used in Germany these days. And so that's the script that I learned German in. And so they've asked me a couple of times to come out and read the German manuals to the German Air Force people so that they will know how to fix the plane.
Wow.
So I go out and read German to the Germans because they can't read German anymore.
That's amazing.
And it's in a hangar like this, and you know, they get together and they tinker and they putter and they bang on things, and so, you know, all of the sounds that you were hearing and everything else are probably just 100% right on.
Okay, well, like I said, if I could have gotten everybody's sessions into one place so that we could have actually had maybe more of a discussion that made sense, it would have been good. Better, anyway. Who all's here that might want to ask questions? You guys want to key your mics, or Russ, do you want to type anything in?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If you had a project manager, how would they combine these sessions to present them to the customer? What data would they be looking for?
Sorry, I thought Lynn would jump into that. It's part of what they use are the summaries. That's why it's important that you write your summaries so that we understand what you were viewing. And part of the information is sketches.
And the way it's generally presented to the customer is the customer had, in this case, 3 questions. And so what you do in the report back to the customer is you say, your first question was, describe the hangar, and the analyst has gone through sessions pulling out that information that they think applies to question number 1 and just isolate it as answers under question 1. So the report would say, your question number 1 was describe the hangar. Viewer 001 was told describe the man-made, and here's what viewer 001 described, you know, as applies to the hangar. Then viewer 002, viewer 003, and all that. Okay, now let's say viewer 1 was tasked only to describe the hangar. But because of curiosity, the viewer also picked up on the planes, the people, and, you know, the people sounds and old gray-headed guys and stuff like this, you know. Okay, well, that will apply to the event. And so when you come down to question number 3, the analyst would say, your question number 3 was, and here's the information that viewer 1 got that applies to question number 3. And so you organize it in that way so that the customer can say, okay, here's my question number 1. Here's what the viewers got for information that applies to that. Here is my question number 2, and here's what the viewers got that applies to that. Here's question number 3, okay, here's what they got that applies to that. The fact that a single viewer might be tasked with only 1 question does not mean that they're not going to pick up information about all the other questions too, and probably a bunch of other stuff that was not in any of the questions. And so the analyst is going to produce a report that says other things we found were, and that's down at the bottom after question 1, 2, and 3. And so this is how it's organized for a customer.
Okay.
Question.
Sorry, go ahead. Between taskings and retaskings, this is kind of, I was trying to run over in my head how many people we had viewing for customer questions, how many different aspects. So, I'm sorry, Deborah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a really hard time doing my summary, although when I was done I saw how helpful it could be, because it really makes you get focused and just take out all your, well, it just really helps you get focused, I think. But what I found was that I had some words that didn't go into my summary because I just didn't know what to put them under. But I had words, and I think I was still kind of in like phase one, just coming up with words, but I had shed, covered up, so that would have been, a shed is kind of like a hanger, but I didn't put that into my summary because it just didn't really seem to fit anywhere.
You had Chad?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You had the word Chad?
Shed, S-H-E-D, like a shed you store things in.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it didn't, that word didn't seem to fit with my descriptors of man-made, so I just didn't put it in my summary.
This is one reason why the viewer's summary always ends down at the bottom with other things I found were. And that's just a catch-all for things that you don't know where to put them.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah, that part, other things I found were, and for the report that goes to the customer, other things that were found were, that's information that you don't know what to do with, but you trust that the customer will. And it's quite often the case that the customer really gets excited over the other stuff that wasn't tasked, because that's more meaningful and you know, to them personally, and will often cause new ideas and new questions to come to the customer, because they'll see something and they'll say, "Oh, well, I didn't task that. Maybe we need to go back and get more information about it."
Jed, did you have another question?
I had stepped out after you had first talked to me there at the beginning of the webinar, and we had a storm cloud go over, so I had to go console my mom, and so I missed a little what was going on. I think I've caught back up to speed now.
Okay. Russ, I've watched for you to type anything in. You're actually, that session that you returned to me had what looked like entire buildings. I should see if I can go find that. And if I can, here we go. Maybe.
Okay, what you have on the screen right now, Teresa, the target is a man-made. Describe the target. The target is an event. Describe the event. This would say describe the event and only the event.
Okay.
Whereas if you said the target is an event, describe the target, it would mean describe the event and everything connected to it. So you see how that spreads everything out and opens new areas of interest for the viewer.
Okay, so you pretty much nail them to the specific thing if you always say describe the target.
No. You open it up to everything if you say describe the target. But if you say describe the event, that means the event and only the event. Or if you say describe the man-made, that means the man-made and only the man-made. But if you say the target, it means describe the man-made and everything associated with it.
Okay.
And so if all you want, like, is a description of the specific man-made, you would say the target's man-made, describe the man-made with the word only sort of understood. Describe only the man-made, okay? Whereas if you say the target is man-made, describe the target. That means go to the site, look at the man-made, describe it, and everything connected with it. Are we confused yet?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I think my brain is like really, after the day I had, I don't think it wants to focus any more than Debbie Heights when she was trying to go on vacation.
The thing is, if you're like, describe the hangar, okay? Let's put it this way, and this is front-loading you would never give anybody. The target is a hangar, describe the hangar. All they're supposed to do is describe the hangar.
Right.
But if you say the target is a hangar, describe the target. How many things are associated with a hangar? You've got airplanes, you've got mechanics, you've got, you know, flight plans, you've got airfields, you've got everything else that are a part of the cognitron hangar.
Yeah.
And therefore they become a part of the target overall. So if you say the target is man-made, describe the man-made only, then they're supposed to describe the hangar, period, end of session, that's it. If you say the target is man-made, describe the target, then describe the hangar, the airplanes, the airfield, whatever they get interested in, it opens up the target to all their personal interest, whatever attracts their attention and everything else. Sorry to be confusing on it. It's like I say, this is just a tradition that's grown up. It's not written down anywhere. It's one of those oral traditions. So you won't find it in anybody's manual.
Kind of on-the-job training.
Yeah,
All right, I did find Russ's sketch. So go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, it is very complex, and it seems like as a viewer, if we can somehow, well, I guess you could tell a viewer like this is a simple target, or we'll find out pretty soon if it's not so simple. Like at first I was thinking, oh, well, it's probably just like a single man-made. I mean, these were just my own assumptions I was projecting into it. And then I discovered it's not simple at all. So I wonder, and then even with the word operational, since my mind was kind of going over all over the place with the word operational, but now just hearing that maybe operational just simply means that there's specific questions as opposed to anything else it might mean, because that in itself
this
is
would just be a practice operational, just to show you, you know.
Just so we can have this discussion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the thing is, for the viewer, that traditional thing has made it much more simple, because if somebody, you know, if you take front loading, which I always suggest that people do, but they don't. And if you take front loading, and the front loading is the target is man-made, describe the man-made. You know you're going to have a very short session. You go in phase 1 until your ideogram is man-made. Then you immediately describe the man-made. You end the session, or you write your summary and end the session, and you're done. But if the front loading to you is the target is man-made, describe the target, then you know you've got a complex session to do, because you describe the man-made. Oh yeah, and there's this other thing that relates to it that's very important to it, and you go get that, and you basically have an open-ended session where you can do 1,000 pages and maybe not even finish, you know, your session. And so generally what it is that when somebody says the target's man-made, describe the target, you know that you're free to find other things that are related to whatever, and go look at them, you know, find out whatever interests you. And if they say, you know, the target's man-made, describe the man-made, you've got a very short session, and it's just, you know, the sit down, do it, turn it in, and you're finished, just like that. And it's very mechanical, and for me, it's very unsatisfying.
I did get Russ's sketch up. I had retasked him, and on one of his sketches, and he did come up with these two oblong, I don't want to label them, but they've got people walking around in them, little stick figures, so it made me think that they are a building or a structure. And I'm looking to see if Russ has anything to say. Might be typing something in.
Well, you notice the windows are all up in front. It could be the plane, too.
Mm-hmm. But there are two of them side by side, so that's what kind of throws me. I'm trying really hard not to do analytic overlay here.
That's good.
Congratulations. I'm fighting it like crazy. Really am. Russ has something. My session might. Your session might what? But, you know, right, Pat does have those three hangers right close together, and they're connected by walkways.
Yeah.
And I could, my session might say more. Russ, unfortunately, you had a lot of feedback in your summary, and Teresa just can't seem to download and label everything correctly so she can get her hands on it in a hurry, but I can try again. I unfortunately still have the ER on my brain tonight.
I'm getting all kinds of videos and pictures in from the spaceship we're building, and I'm having the same problem. Where do you put them? How do you label them? And yeah, it's a nightmare, so I give you sympathy on your job here.
That's retasking, feedback. I've got yes here, but that's not it. It's not your actual feedback. Now here's one.
Lynn, did you say you're building a spaceship?
There we go.
The spaceship was one of the first spaceships of the U.S. arsenal and all that. It was called the Delta Clipper and DCX, and it's been sitting around in pieces in mothballs for 20 years now. Well, the Space Museum here wants to build the thing, put it back together, and have it on display up at the Space Museum. And so we're trying to put the thing back together. The problem is that all the manuals are gone. They were classified and probably destroyed and everything. The thing has over 300,000 parts to it. And so we're trying to figure out what part goes where, how to put it back together and all that, you know. And the general consensus is, well, if you have parts left over, they didn't need it anyway. So, yeah, we're putting together a spaceship.
Wow.
It was the first shuttle type thing. It would lift off, go into orbit, and come back and land safely. There were no boosters, no nothing. It was a single stage rocket. It was a spaceship.
Very cool.
Here's Russ's session. You've got man-made is structural, interior is expansive and echoes. Double arch of large cut stone reveals two pass-through openings, wall-mounted lantern between the arches. It's electric. Peppering of dimples on the wall surrounding this fixture. There's a line of staggered glassiness elevated in forefront center. Forward of the two arches, there's a large lobby, gathering area, high ceiling, dangling spiral cord. Globe under it floats, centered to the left side, and there's three spheres that reduce in size. And the largest is wet and goldish, and it's curved and wavy texture, and it's soaked below. And mid-sized sphere has motion and arches. The smallest floats and seemingly has spirals and rotates. And a rubbery figure, there's more rubbery. Left of the small third sphere, happy and noisy. And happy, that means there's some people, I would say. Could be dogs, but one entry supports the incoming line of visitors. And line can wrap around the building at times. Actually, I saw a video of this. There were people lined up, a huge amount of people lined up to get, there were 6 pilots, to get their autographs. Somebody had traveled from, like, Connecticut, because they were heroes.
If I could add something here, some of the original hangars, especially built during the war, they didn't have the materials, didn't want to use the metal because the metal went to the war effort and all that.
Right.
So what they do is take 2 Quonset huts, slice the right and the left side off of, the right side off of one and the left side off of the other.
Yeah.
Put them together with the open sides together and put a flat front on it, and they'd have a hangar.
I'll be darned.
And so it's very possible, I didn't see it in any pictures, but it's very possible that behind that flat front is 2 joined Quonset huts, which would make the 2 rounded ceilings. We'd have to get more information to give feedback on it, but it's very plausible that that's a good description of the hangars.
By the way, it says other bios are in and out are curious and pleased, and there's a set aside here of an amphitheater. And Russ has a thing over there. That's the recast. Very weird it was. And Deborah is saying that you did a great job.
Yes.
there's more. Oh, mine just feeling bad that I don't have everybody's session up there so we can take a closer look at it. But I think it's pretty hopeless tonight.
We're not going to fire you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Because, like I said, I just have not ended session at work yet. I need to somehow detox. Oh, does anybody else have anything you'd like to bring up?
Right here, what you're showing, where he says other, that's other things I found were. And, you know, this is the thing that didn't fit the rest of the session. And so it's a catch-all thing done at the end. If you don't know where to put something, put it in there. Like there's a 3D Red Cross shape. Show me a hanger that does not have a Red Cross shape on its emergency medical box that's hanging right there on the wall. And if you find a hanger like that, it's not a U.S. hanger. Looks like a good session.
Right. Hey, Russ is saying, hey, I had that. It's your session. Okay. And again, granted, I had Russ or Jed's session up here with some feedback, and with that one plane, he was getting yellow, and the way he was describing circle and spiral and shaking, I really thought that there, without, you know, doing, this is a teaching thing for you as well. It's not just customer stuff, but I was thinking that this right here really did, if you rotate it, it's right here. He's got propulsion, and he describes it as silvery and shiny, and it's shaking. That rocket scientists, let's see, that this could have been like the propeller and the engine. You know, I can't say for sure. It's not my job. Not my job. But again, for teaching stuff, for the way the subconscious blows things up, and you don't always get it exactly the way it looks in the feedback photo, I thought it was a possibility.
Very good.
Okay, I keep looking over to see if there are any more comments. So far, and there's Russ saying yellow. He's using move commands. Russ, do you want to tell us anything about that? You're doing a fair amount of moving in your session these days. Why are you doing that? Hey, Russ. Or not Russ. Jed. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're using a lot of move commands. You want to tell everybody how come you're doing that?
Keep the ambiance sort of open. Keep my mind from getting stuck on from castle building.
John Glass told me once to keep moving and stay curious and keep my nose in the target. Lynn, do you want to say anything about why, that would be?
This is a standard tactic for remote viewers. You know how you go outside? Well, you're inside and it's fine temperature. You go outside these days and it's very hot. And you come back in, and that's when you feel how cold it is inside. One of the things that, you know, is a part of the reptilian part of our mind is that when we get accustomed to something, we don't see it anymore. And this has applications in remote viewing, that once you stay at a certain place on a target, you're not really going to see it anymore. And so, like you're describing the inside of a structure, every now and then, hop outside, describe something, and pop back inside, and all of a sudden you'll see a lot of stuff that you didn't see before because you had sort of gone blind to it. And so the move command actually makes you notice things. We don't notice the world around us. We notice changes in the world around us. And if you just put your mind in one place at the target and there's no changes, you're gonna go blind. And so, you know, mentally go blind to the target. And so, yeah, use these move commands. It keeps you fresh, it keeps your eyes moving, it keeps your mind moving, and it keeps you noticing new things. You'll be amazed how many times you sort of exhaust one part of a target. So you move to something else, then you move right straight back to the target, and there's all this new stuff you weren't seeing before. And so this is an extremely good tactic for all remote viewers to do. Of course, you have to keep track on paper as to where you are. You know, you don't say move outside and describe, and then, you know, describe some things outside and then move back in and not let somebody know that you're not moving inside, because then they'll think you're still describing the outside. So you take all these move commands and you write them down as you do them, and it helps you keep track of where you are at the target. But the move command is a really standard thing that keeps the site fresh and keeps you seeing new things. Good move. I'll tell you, well, no pun intended, but yeah.
By the way, I was like, teacher, right here. The target is an event. Describe the target.
Ah, very good. Is an event. Describe the target. That's good. That's good front loading.
Right now, I couldn't tell you if I was wearing blue shoes or brown ones. Ugh. I was going through here to see what Jed's, I think he had mid-loading. No, that was Deborah Height. Anyway, here, yeah, this is Jed's retasking. Describe the man-made that is circular in shape. That was his perception that I asked him to give me more information on. And this is David Beatty's. I was going over it now to see if there wasn't anything distinctive enough other than that ambiance. I didn't really want him to focus in on that shirt so much. I didn't want him to. Of course, that probably would have been good practice. We're supposed to observe without getting sucked into the humanness. So that might have been a good activity for him.
Which one of the, okay, on that one, it was the hanger?
This one, he was the event.
Oh, the event, okay. Even still, go back to the first thing he had there. Go back to the first part of his summary.
I'm going. Here you go.
Okay. The target is man-made, humanness, and land, okay? And he was tasked with the event. Right? There's a little quiz I give to people when they come back for intermediate. Let's say I say to you, the target is man-made. Describe the target. what's your first ideogram going to be? Go ahead and answer.
Well, wait a minute. The target is a man-made?
The target is man-made. Describe the target. What's your first ideogram going to be?
Well, it could be anything. You're going to take...
Very good.
Well, I was going to say, you're going to take coordinates until you either get sick of it or until you get man-made, and then you can stop.
Right, and then you can go into phase 2. But many people will say, well, if you told me it's man-made, then I'm going to get an ideogram of man-made. That's not so. What will happen is, and this is the analogy of the, excuse me, the blind man, the blindfolded man on the corner. If you blindfold somebody and you put them on a corner and you say to them, shake hands with the first person walking by, and you yank the blindfold off, the first thing they look for is not a person walking by. The first thing they look for is, where am I? And that's exactly what the subconscious mind does. When you say front-loading, like the target is man-made, describe the target, what's going to happen is they'll do the coordinates, and their mind, their subconscious mind, will start saying, where am I? And it'll give you land, water, everything else, and you take the coordinates over and over, and as soon as it gives you man-made, because, you know, whatever you were tasked with, that's when your subconscious mind is telling you, okay, I know where I am now. Now it's time to go to work. And that's why you can go on into stage 2 and work the man-made, or work whatever you were tasked with. And it's a classic thing that your subconscious does. No matter what front loading you give, as soon as you give the coordinate, it wants to know, where am I? And so a lot of people will say, you know, oh, you're telling the viewer what the target is. No, you're not. What you're doing is you're letting them know when they can go into stage 2, because their subconscious will say, oh, okay, it's man-made. As soon as I figure out where I am, then I'll address the man-made. And what he did here was very good. You gave event, and what did he start out with? There's a man-made, there's, you know, and so on. And then when he went into the man-made, go back up to the start of it. Okay. Field-like, expansive. He started describing the land. Right? And here again, it's the subconscious mind saying, okay, this is, you know, this is where I am. And so it even works once you get into the summary thing. Your subconscious mind will figure out where it is, and then it will go ahead and give you the answer.
You know, I
really
wish...
neat process. We've learned a lot about the mind by doing all this stuff.
Yeah. I wish we had more in-depth feedback, just because he's got activity areas, they're passive and active. I mean, let's face it, they probably don't want the crowd right up when the planes are pulling up. You know, they might have had them fenced off into an observation area, but we don't know that. But it'd been nice if we could have, and I don't know if he's describing Grimes Field or Wright Pat. Because really down here, and no, I am not steering you, I'm just thinking. Yeah. You know, here you've got a model airplane field. Now, Grimes Field in Urbana, that's a puddle jumper compared to Wright Pat. So, anyway, it would have been nice to, I always want to know more about these locations.
Well, this is where you have whole projects where you have, you know, 20 retaskings and such as that. many people these days who are doing projects will limit it to one retasking, when in reality there are some projects that may wind up with 20 and 30 retaskings to get more and more specific information on one little thing that was said and so on.
Well, the very few that I've done behind the scenes in real time, I mean, I'm telling the viewers to expect at least one, probably two retaskings, you know, because it just seems like without being through OCP or as at the level of you, it takes everybody a little bit into that first session just to get good site contact and find something to start working with.
That's right. And one of the things that a project manager has to do is when the customer starts giving you retasking after retasking after retasking, you have to come to a point where you say, wait a minute, you're either going to pay for these retaskings or else we're going to cut you off. Or else you'll have the workers, you know, you'll have the viewers doing 40 or 50 sessions and getting paid for one. You can't do that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we sort of got our second win there and regrouped and had some decent conversation with all of us helping. So more questions, more points. Deborah, I was kind of, you said, oh, I've never retasked, or you've never had front loading on a man-made. I sort of did that to you on purpose. I wondered about that.
I thought that was great because the man-mades are always the last things I want to describe. And I think I just started to watch the video again, and I think I know exactly what I was viewing at one point. Where you see in the video where I guess he's in the airplane and there's hands on this control thing, flying the plane. I think that's what I was describing.
Oh,
I've got a sketch of it on page 6, my page 6.
You know, like I explained, I thought that this one was going to be the viewers taking away, here's what you need to go look at and see what you can get as far as your feedback.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that to you on purpose, but the man-made, I did do to you on purpose because it's kind of like knowing your viewers, and I thought, Deborah, man-made. Let's give this a shot.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
I have a couple of other viewers that they'll latch on to conceptuals and the people, and you can't budge them. So I thought, let's try you on a man-made and see what happens.
A lot of people don't like the front loading because they say it pollutes and all that, but I had one session one time which shows the degree to which you need to learn to combat pollution. I was told the target is a bus. Describe the bus. Well, the actual target was a bus parking lot that was huge, had hundreds of buses in it, and what they wanted was a description of the targeted bus that was so accurate that they could pick it out among several hundred other buses. And they didn't have time in this case to fool around with a session of, you know, the target's a target, describe the target, and a lot of retasking. And so basically what they were saying was, describe this bus to the point so accurately that we can distinguish it from all the other buses in this humongous parking lot. And so, you know, you have to, at some point, some customer may give you pollution to that degree, and as a remote viewer, you have to take it in stride and just work with it. So tasking people with things like the target is man-made It's really good training.
So did you describe the bus?
Actually, no. What I described was a wheel, was a well that has steps going up into it, and what I got was that there was a thing that looked like a little German bell tower that had the peaked roof on the top, and it was square, and it was right up at the top of the steps, and that it had a little sticker on it, and I kind of drew the shape of the sticker, and that was it. And the bus, when they opened the door, there was the steps leading up to that change machine that you used to drop your change into, and there was a sticker on it, and so my description did help them find the right bus. Because they just went through looking in all the glass doors of the buses, you know, the bus windows, and they saw one with a sticker, and sure enough, that was the bus. But I didn't describe the bus.
Yeah, except for you needed to find the one bus in a whole parking lot full of buses.
That's right.
So you need to describe something distinctive. I'm not waffling. I'm not making excuses for you.
No,
but if you're describing one bus out of a whole parking lot full of buses, you needed to find something distinctive. Did you do that?
Yes, I did. And the thing is, when they said the target's a bus, I knew they knew what the target was. And so at that point, I said, okay, well, I can describe a bus, but I don't know what they want. And that's when I said, screw this, I'm turning it over to my subconscious mind, and I just, whatever I got, I wrote down. Whatever came to mind, I wrote it down on the paper, and, you know, get an impression, write it down, get an impression, write it down, and so on. Did my summary, and nowhere in the summary did I have a bus, a description of a bus, not even wheels or anything, and yet I knew that they know what the target is. It's a bus. And so I turned it in. I had no idea whether I had gotten anything right or wrong, and I didn't care because I knew my subconscious would take care of something.
So there was a distinctive sticker on the inside of the bus that helped them identify that bus.
And the shape of the sticker was the shape of the sticker was the shape I described, but I had drawn a little symbol in the middle of that shape, and it was wrong. But it still helped them. That was the
overachiever.
main thing.
Well then, that's why you don't ever, and the analyst and the project manager never makes the judgment call.
That's right. The customer makes the judgment call.
Yep, because you don't really know what they know.
And you don't always know what they want either.
Yeah. Sometimes neither do they, but now we'll never get any place confident with that. So.
Yeah.
Isn't there also the aspect that at the time they're assigning it, they may not know what they need to know, but your subconscious is connected with whoever happens to be going out and doing the search?
Yeah.
So none of it might not be determined until someone just happens to walk in there and remember what you said.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been times when, you know, well, for all of us, the tasking would come down, you know, describe a location. And like what we would send back would be a description of a person, or a description of a building, or a description of whatever that had apparently nothing to do with the tasking itself or with the front loading either, and yet it was what the customer needed. This is one of the things about scoring a session. We have found that you can score a session each perception right or wrong or can't feed back. But there's not really anywhere on it where you can say, was this, did this answer the question, or was this important to the customer? Because many times the customer will ask you questions that aren't even relevant to anything they want. And the project manager's job is a nightmare. It really is. If you're a viewer, be glad you're a viewer. Don't ever volunteer to be a project manager.
Amen, but still.
But it has its
It's
own
fun when it all goes right.
Oh yeah, When it
By
goes
the way,
right, it makes it worth it.
Here's a, right here it says on viewer 6, he got, like I said, we saw stars on both the hangar and that plane in the video. Do you know, does the plane have serial numbers located on the left hand, like by the tail rudder or whatever? Is that standard?
It's standard, yeah.
Okay. So I would say that
for the conspiracy people, for the last 2 weeks and all the way into September, the black unmarked helicopters, they've got to practice someplace. We've had them going over our house, and like every 10 minutes or so during the day, and sometimes for night flights, black unmarked helicopters just flying in big circles around Alamogordo. You realize they got to practice someplace.
You're not special. I actually posted something on Facebook not long ago. Miami, Chicago, I think Phoenix or Albuquerque, I forget. They've been all over the place, and they need to practice urban.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people who are on vacation paid good money to be staying in the hotel, and then just kind of all hell breaks loose. Can you imagine having a newborn in a hotel with a few black helicopters keeping everybody up all night? Yeah,
and around here we had a bottle sitting on a shelf out on the back porch.
Yeah.
And the helicopters are so low that they shake the house, and it actually knocked one of the bottles off of the shelf.
Uh-oh.
So
now you have glass on your patio?
Yeah, and this is an adobe house with 1.5 foot thick walls. you know.
So you're saying it takes a lot to shake that?
It really does, yeah.
And this is just recently? It didn't used to happen?
Oh yeah, it's just been the past 2 weeks, and they're going to be practicing until mid-September sometime.
At which point they head over to the Middle East, huh?
Probably. They've built replica Afghani towns out here in the desert, and they're training troops out there in these mock Afghani towns. We're headed for war, by the way, in case you didn't know.
In the States? We're right here we're recording this, you know.
Yeah. In Afghanistan, I think everybody knows that, you know.
Oh. By the way, general appearance of this man-made resembles a tower or monument like Big Ben in England or Washington Monument. I don't know, do you think that's viewer like going vertical with this plane, like a tube?
Could be, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to, this is a very experienced viewer here. I'm trying to make some kind of sense out of this.
Yeah, the side orientation problem, yeah.
Yeah. I have this thing about looking for logic where there is none. Sometimes it works.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's the site or the viewer orientation problem, and it's generally with beginning viewers, not with the more experienced viewers, but like I might give you the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And you wind up at the target laying on your side. Well, what you see is this long horizontal thing that's pointed on one end and big and square on the other end, and it's attached to a wall. That's because you're laying on the side, and the wall happens to be the ground, and the long horizontal thing happens to be the Eiffel Tower. And it's called the side orientation problem or the viewer orientation problem. They're both the same.
Okay, it is 9:46. So we're coming up on 2 hours.
I have another web meeting
Okay.
in 14 minutes now. Yeah.
All right. Well, we should wrap this up then so that you can take a small breather and detox from this meeting before you go to your next one.
There were some good-looking summaries on this thing. I think some really appropriate information.
You think?
Yeah, I really do.
I was going to say, I'm hoping just because the presentation was somewhat difficult to get through. So you can make sense of them to figure out if they made any sense is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, if you have another meeting, we should wrap this up so you can get to it. So
Y'all can
right.
continue, but I'll have to leave.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and we have another target discussion in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I will be a little better prepared than this one. So anyway, it was a lot to do as far as trying to get everybody retasked and everything. So in that time frame, we even had an extra week because we backed it off. But anyway, thanks to Lynn. I think there were several good teaching points, and thanks to everybody who contributed a session. So with that, I think we're going to call it a day. Good night, John Boy. Lynn's already gone. Oh, no. Good night, John Boy. All right.
Good night.